And then because when we're talking about classroom use of these tools, a lot of times it's about annotating. It's about marking up the material. I've often worked with individuals and their paper notes are separate from the material that they were reading. And when you ask them, where did you get that information in the text? And they'll look at you and go, I don't know. Or else they'll tell you, chapter 11. And then you'll say, where in chapter 11? I don't know. And so the ability to be able to annotate in your information, the material being read, whether or not you can bookmark that information to quickly jump back to that area, whether or not I could leave text notes, or if writing is of difficulty for me, maybe I can leave a voice note so that I can come back later and actually transcribe it into print form without having to worry about, typing it right then at that point in time. And then if I can annotate the material, what can I do with it afterwards? Can I extract that material and get a separate document? And for example, there's a couple tools in the market where I can be listening to an MP3 file, an audio-only file, and leave a voice note on there. And then I can use some of the software to actually extract my voice notes to create one file for me to listen to.
Thank you, Scott, for sharing all those aspects around tools. And now we're going to move to services in our framework for AIM implementation. And when we think about services, we think about a lot of aspects in using accessible instructional materials and tools. And a really time-consuming aspect of this is acquiring and managing all the accessible instructional materials. So we want to think about services that assist and help teams acquire and manage the materials. And we also think about services that help us as teachers and service providers monitor the use of the materials by students. How are they using the materials in authentic contexts? How are they getting access to content? How are they improving in their literacy skills? And that's where we want to look at measuring student results in terms of access and participation and their progress in their teaching and learning activities. So we want to look at providing services that help us work with students and monitor how they're using this and how they're accessing and making progress.
Some of the other services that we might want to think about in the area of the audio and the digital format, again, depending upon where you end up getting the material, some of the, the file formats, again, that it can be read. Whether or not, software is going to be needed to convert the file into a format that is going to be able to be utilized on the student's device, or can that device itself automatically do that kind of translation piece if it's in a different file format. You also want to be thinking about who and by whom the use of audio text is, who's going to teach the use of that. Many of us have not necessarily been taught how to teach listening skills to students. And so sometimes we look at reading as being a barrier, and all of a sudden we give them all of their textbooks in an audio format, but we haven't gone through the process of teaching them how to listen to that information. And I know that we often talk about one of the resource websites, learningthroughlistening.org, to be able to be as a resource that as a classroom teacher you might want to go to get some information about how to help assist in the, the teaching of listening to material in an audio format. And then, of course, one of the other services we want to think about is to continually increase the length of time that somebody needs to listen to the material, especially if we start to look at post-secondary and what some of our students might be experiencing when it comes to a university level in a lecture, the amount of time that they have to attend to material.
And when we think about services, when we use the large print and braille formats, it's important to think about collaboration again, and the personnel who are well trained in the specialized knowledge and skills in teaching print reading to students with low vision or students who use Braille. So it's important to have a certified teacher in visual impairments as part of that team and working with that person and implementing the services with students. And also to have a teacher who has knowledge in reading instruction is very helpful in that area also. And if you're looking at the Braille format in terms of services, having a certified Braille transcriber as part of the team who helps get that digital content student ready in terms of the Braille format is very critical. And then it's important if you come from the field of visual impairments that you work with personnel who understand assistive technology in general, and also the district instructional technology specialist who can help provide access to the internet or web in terms of downloading materials and maybe getting administrative a license to be able to access content so that it's easier to get books and web-based content for students who need alternative formats.